download our Roku app, follow these simple steps. Go onto the menu and select streaming channels, and then choose the category religious. Then you can find Imam Hussein TV from the list. Now choose add channel and then select OK. Done. Now you can find Imam Hussein TV in your home screen and watch all of our channels online.
We question our daily position, seeking answers and definitions. Get the queries off your chest with Ahkam SOS.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Ahkam SOS, the show that discusses Islamic duties and practices. This is a live show. We do take in your questions. So if you have any questions you'd like to ask, send them via the WhatsApp, the email address. If you're watching via YouTube or Facebook, you can put your questions in the comment section. Or I'll give us a call here in the studio, 0203 515 0199. Inshallah, myself and the Sheikh will be able to discuss and answer all of your questions. I'm your host, Hussein, and joining me is Sheikh Ali Ma'as. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
How are you this evening?
Alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah. Sheikhna, when it comes to Salah, as you know, there's a lot to remember. And sometimes we do get confused on which rak'ah, which units we are in. Now when it comes to the third or the fourth rak'ah, let's say I'm on a rak'ah, I'm not sure if it's my third or my fourth. What do I do in that situation? Is my salah batil, or can I recover the salah in some way?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammadin wa alihi al-Tahirin. Wa la'natullahi ala a'da'ihim ajma'een. Well, if the doubt was between the third and the fourth in the salah, at any stage of the salah, then the one must base it on the fourth. Al-bina' al-akthar, as it's mentioned in the books of the fiqh.
So he treats it like it's the fourth rak'ah.
Yes. And when he finishes the salah, he needs to perform salatul ihtiyat. One rak'ah of ihtiyat. He stands up straight away without distorting the salah's state. And he does the takbirah, the hamd only, and then ruku' sujood, and then that's it. And that will fulfill, if there's a shortage in the salah. If you prayed three, then it's actually been filled, this gap, with this ihtiyat rak'ah.
Ahsan. Sheikh, a question from one of our viewers, and that is, according to His Eminence the Grand Ayatollah Sayyid Sistani, can I be in a friendly relationship with a girl in my class? So I'm assuming this person is, well, we're going to assume it's a male, not a female, and furthermore, it's at school, whether it's a college or university, some educational facility. According to Ayatollah Sistani, is he allowed to have a friendly relationship with his classmate?
The Sayyid mentions that all kinds of relations with the opposite gender, with the non-mahram, including cracking jokes, expressing mutual love, for example, talking with the intention of deriving pleasure, shahwa, looking at the body, at the hair of the, if it's a female, well, except looking at the hands and the face without class is allowed. That's exception in terms of looking in a professional, let's say, argument or conversation. على كل حال. And على كل حال, if there's a fear of falling into the haram, in any house such relationships are not allowed. So the best from the day one, let's say, that one should avoid such connections and links and relations, so to avoid falling into the haram and keep it to the very, very minimum and to the necessity in terms of the study, work, and so forth.
Sheikh, question again from one of our viewers. Is it permissible to buy alcoholic drinks for one's friend from his own money, in with the opinion of His Eminence the Grand Ayatollah Sayyid Saeed Hakim?
No, it is not permissible. You cannot buy on someone's behalf alcohol or even sell to them. It's one of the exceptions in which you cannot sell to even or serve it to the even those who consider it as halal in their own faith or religion, like the Christians and others and non-believers. You cannot sell them or give them alcoholic drinks. And ulama also have added the pork meat as well. You can't serve it to them, although it's permissible for them to consume, but you are not allowed to serve them.
Sheikh, you're very well aware that there is huge implications when it comes to tahara and najasa, especially when we're purchasing items and so forth. Now, when I purchase a car, now maybe this car's from somewhere in Europe, maybe it's Germany or so forth, and we're not really sure about the owners, because obviously we can confirm it wasn't made in a Muslim country. Secondly, it didn't have a Muslim owner, most likely. Now, the moisture, the wet hands and so forth have been all over the car. Two questions arise. First of all, is the car impure and not pure? Secondly, do we need to purify like the leather that's in the car and the steering wheel and the gearbox and so forth? His Eminence the Grand Ayatollah Sheikh Bashir al-Najifi, he has a discussion on this. What does he say?
The Sheikh mentions that if you are certain that those, the previous owners were non-believers and they touched those body parts of the car with wetness, with moisture, in which the wetness transfers to the parts of the car, then of course it's impure. And if you want to use them with your own, let's say, wetness, sometimes it's raining, you come inside the car, you want to touch, for example, the dashboard and so forth, you have to make sure that you wash your hands later, or to somehow purify those parts of the car in which became najis. But if you are not certain, you're not sure, you just have the doubt that it might be najis, because I bought it from a non-believer, for example. Then the base comes here, which says everything is pure, tahir, unless you're certain that it is impure. So it depends really, if you have certainty in terms of being pure or impure.
Sheikh, a question for one of our viewers, and that is, when it comes to performing wudu, if there's ink on the hand, when the hand is stained with ink, is it considered an obstacle to washing and wiping in wudu?
In overall, the color is not an obstacle, just the color, plain color, without anything else. But if that color has some kind of mass in which prevents the reach of the water to the skin, then of course you have to remove this, let's say paint, normal paint that we use to paint the walls, for example, wood and so forth, which are thick. In this case, you have to wash it, remove it, and do wudu over it.
Sheikh, can we pray the Nawafil Mustahab prayer on the chair without any reason whatsoever? His Eminence the Grand Ayatollah Sayyid Sistani, he has an opinion. What is his opinion?
The Sayyid mentions that it is not acceptable while you have the choice of being in the state of standing up. You can't stand up and pray. Why do you have to sit down and pray?
Yes.
Even if it's mustahab. So the Sayyid won't accept it. Ayatollah Shirazi, along with some other maraja, would say that yes, you can. There's no issue with it. It's a mustahab prayer. You can pray while you're sitting on the chair, and you pray. And some even mention that Qibla is not wajib as well in some cases, in some of the
So in that case, I've heard you can pray while you're walking. You can
walking,
pray,
driving,
in the car,
riding,
train.
let's say camel or horse, for example. And you pray your salat, for example, mustahab.
Mustahab prayers.
Nafilat.
And you don't have to face the Qibla. You can just.
So basically, the Sayyid mentions even for Sayyid Shirazi, that even for the sujood, you can point to the sujood by saying, let's say, Subhana Rabbil A'la wa bihamdi. You don't have to prostrate on the ground.
Wow.
So
mashallah.
makes the salah easier, and just
Yeah.
encouragement
Mhm.
for the believers to participate in performing
Worship.
these mustahabbat as
Mhm.
much as they can, even if they are in trouble, for
Yes.
example, or riding, let's
Mhm.
say,
I
ships
see.
or other means of transport.
Shaykh, a question from one of our viewers. What is the procedure of ghusl by immersion?
Basically, we have two types of ghusl. The tartibi, the sequential, where you start by washing your head, then the right side of the body, and then the left side of the body. You have now, alhamdulillah, a pure body from the impurities in terms of the janaba and so forth. But the second option, that you can actually dive inside the pool or the pond or the sea or the river, the entire body should go inside the water that reaches all parts of the body, and you make the intention that I do the ghusl of immersion or irtimasi, qurbat Allah ta'ala, and then you just come out for the water, and the ghusl is done maybe in seconds, no more than 5 seconds.
Mhm.
The ghusl is done.
Okay, fantastic. Shaykhna, the person who is required to perform the qada of the salah he missed, is he allowed to perform the optional mustahab salah?
Yes, the one is allowed to perform the mustahab salah before the qada salah. Although the qada salah is
Wajib.
على كل حال wajib, if they can do it as soon as possible, that would be great. But yes, they still can pray namaz al-shab. Let's say they can pray salat al-Eid, the upcoming Eid of Adha, for example.
Mhm.
You still can pray it, and you continue praying your qada salah. That's fine for the past years, let's say.
Yes.
There should be no issue. Unlike fasting, you can't fast mustahab while you have wajib
Mhm.
qada of
Prayer,
the month of Ramadan.
Ah, I see.
So there's different hukms.
Mhm. Shaykh, we're going to go to a short break. Join us after the break as we play you this small VT, inshallah, and we'll continue our discussion here on Ahkam SOS.
I have a question regarding keeping pictures
Is
of
it
scholars at
permissible to
home.
plant trees by or
Was
over
Islam
the
established
graves?
based on peace and
Is it permissible
non-violence?
to collect donations for charity projects from
Is it permitted to
individuals?
consume canned food imported from non-Muslim
Is there an
countries?
issue for men looking at non-Muslim women?
To have your questions answered live, call in on +44 2035 150199 or WhatsApp us on +44 7415 092155. Alternatively, you can also email us on ahkamsos@imamhussein.tv.
Yes, we do take in all of your questions. This is a live show. Any questions you have, and it can be on any topic whatsoever. We don't have any limits or any restrictions. If you have a question, we don't need to know your name or where you're asking from. Send in your question via the WhatsApp, the email address. If you're watching on Facebook Live or on YouTube, put your question in the comment section. And if you feel like, give us a call here in the studio, +44 203 515 0199. Inshallah, myself and the Sheikh will be able to discuss and answer all of your questions and queries. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna.
Assalamu alaikum.
Sheikhna, tayammum. If a person who is required to perform tayammum knows that his reasons will continue until after a particular salah time, what should he do?
Well, it is permissible for the one to continue tayammum if he knows that the issue would continue even to the next morning, for example, or next day. The one knows that it won't stop. Let's say he's in a hospital, for example, in a situation that he must do tayammum for whatever is the reason, whatever is the hukm. And he knows he's going to be there for the next few days. Then, of course, his hukm will be tayammum. And he continues praying while there's enough time for the salah. So, yes, that's his duty for now being.
Sheikhna, is backbiting defined as mentioning an individual's bad traits in front of him or behind his back, as it is evident from the word backbite?
In overall, backbiting is not just to basically say something behind someone's back. That's part of it. But sometimes, even if they're present in front of you, especially in front of others, to insult him, to say something that would annoy him, would upset him, that's also haram. You know, insulting, humiliating the
Yeah,
brother.
slandering.
That's also haram, in which you have to ask for forgiveness from them as well. Allah Azza wa Jalla states in the Holy Quran, in Surah 49, Ayah 12, وَلَا يَغْتَبْ بَعْضُكُمْ بَعْضًا أَيُحِبَّ أَحَدُكُمْ أَنْ يَأْكُلَ لَحْمَ أَخِيهِ مَيْتًا فَكَرِهْتُمُوهُ. And do not backbite one another. Would any of you like to eat the flesh of his dead brother? So you see the extent of the severe prohibition of backbiting between the mu'mineen, and that's the huquq of the people, the right of the people. Allah Azza wa Jalla would forgive, inshallah, whatever is connected to His rights. But when it comes to the people, we have to ask forgiveness from the people. So let's have less, headache and trouble with others in terms of backbiting them, slandering them, and so forth, just to reduce, the burden on our shoulders.
Inshallah. Sheikhna, question from the WhatsApp. Salam. Are Zaydiyya Shia and Ismailiyya Shia considered Shia by the Torah Shias? So Sheikhna, we are known as the Ithna Ashrin, or we know as the Jafari Shias, and it is, I guess we are the most dominant and we are the most popular school of thought out of the Shias and out of those who subscribe to the Wilaya of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Yes, there are other types of Shias as well. The Zaydis are one, the Bohras, the Ismailis, and so forth. According to the Jafri school of thought, do we actually accept them as Shi'i and as Shia?
There's a narration from Imam Abi Abdullah al-Sadiq alayhi salam, where a man asks him, he tells him that من عرف الأئمة ولم يعرف الإمام الذي في زمانه مؤمن هو, the one who knew the Imams alayhi salam overall, the first Imam, the second Imam, the third Imam, and so forth. But he did not recognize the Imam of his time. The Imam of his time may be Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam. The Imam of his time may be Imam al-Qadhim alayhi salam. The Imam of his time may be Imam Rida alayhi salam. And he doesn't recognize and accept him as Imam. Would he be a mu'min, a believer? The Imam said no. He's not a believer. He's not a mu'min. قلت أمسلم, would he be a Muslim? Would she be a Muslim? The Imam said Muslimun, yes. He's indeed a Muslim.
Yes.
Because he utters the Shahadatain. In this case, he's a Muslim. But to be a mu'min, Iman means Wilayat Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. The Iman means that you believe in 12 Imams of Ahlul Bayt, from Imam Ali alayhi salam till Imam Mahdi ajallahu farajahu sharif. A complete Iman. Otherwise, you can't call it Iman. Somebody who's half the way leaves Ahlul Bayt. Those who, let's say, visit Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam from Imam Ali to Imam al-Sadiq, and then they don't visit Imam al-Kadhim or Imam al-Rida alayhi salam in Mashhad, or Imam al-Askariyain in Usam al-Ra. What do you call them? Mu'mineen to Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam? You can't call them Mu'mineen to Ahlul Bayt, because they don't believe in them as Imams. They stopped to Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam. It's a problem. It's a problem with the Aqeedah, with the base of the Imam. So Muslims, yes, if they accept the Quran, the Shahadatain, the Wajibat, they're Muslims in overall. The Quran also says with this regard, in Surah 49, Ayah 14, قالت الأعراب آمنا قل لم تؤمنوا ولكن قولوا أسلمنا ولما يدخل الإيمان في قلوبكم. The deserts Arabs say, we have believed. Say you have not believed. Belief is something else from Islam and being a Muslim. But rather say, we have submitted Muslimin to Islam. Shahadatain, that's it. For faith has not yet entered into your hearts. If you don't accept Imam al-Kadhim as your Imam, how can you call yourself mu'min to Ahlul Bayt? If today you don't believe in the Imam of your time, Imam Mahdi ajallahu farajahu sharif, as your Imam al-Zaman, how can you call yourself, I'm a Shia of Ahlul Bayt, a mu'min to Ahlul Bayt? It's an issue that the one should reflect and ponder on.
Sheikh, a question coming in from the Facebook, I believe, and that is that after Salah, when we ask for dua, should we recite the dua loudly or should we do it in silence?
In overall, the dua can be recited both ways. You know, you can whisper the dua, you can recite it loudly. But in Jama'ah, usually we recite it loudly. You know, أَمَّنْ يُجِيبُ الْمُضْطَرَّ إِذَا دَعَاهُ and so forth. We recite it loudly. There's no issue with it.
Sheikh, is it permissible for someone who is following the Ahlul Bayt school of thought to perform a prayer with holding his hands into his chest, I guess it means across his chest or folded, due to some certain reasons when interacting with Sunni schools of thought?
No, it is not permissible.
Wow.
You cannot pray like they pray. I mean, we go to Hajj, Umrah, to Medina, Mecca, or we don't pray like them, and they can easily see us.
Yes.
Unless there's a life-threatening situation. It's an issue of bodily harm, for example. Then the taqiyya comes, which allows you to pray like them, to avoid harm, to avoid violence, and so forth.
Sheikh, if someone is born in 2021 out of zina, they will get punished same as people who killed Imam Hussein alayhi salam thousands of years ago if they do something bad? Sheikh, we've discussed this question, I think, last episode or episode before. I think it may be a continuation from there. So yeah, the brother or sister is asking that those who are born out of zina, even if it's in today's day and age, if they do something wrong, they get punished the same as those who were killed Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam?
Initially, the Holy Quran states, وَلَا تَزْرُ وَازِرَةٌ وِزْرَ أُخْرَى. No burden, soul carries the burdens of another. Surah 17, ayah 15. I think we've mentioned the issue that those who are born out of wedlock in this situation of illegitimate birth, zina, there are consequences in which they have to face, and this is the reality. You can't avoid it. And I've mentioned an example that those who killed Imam Hussein on the day of Ashura, they were all awlad zina. In other words, the Ibn Zina is more near to the act of evil. But I also brought a hadith and said that the Imam says, whoever does good from those individuals who are born in this situation, then they get paradise and they get rewards. There's no issue with it. They get the reward. And if they do bad, they get the punishment.
I see. I think what you're trying to say here, Sheikh, is that those who are born out of zina, it is more, I guess, it is easier for them to perform evil because of the conditions that they were brought into this world in, and so forth. I mean,
we have similar hukum with regards to, for example, Imam Jama'ah who cannot stand and pray. I've mentioned this as well.
Yeah.
That if your Mawlana can't stand and pray, you can't pray behind him because of sitting and praying while he's sitting. You can't, khalas. You have to find somebody else. Is that an insult to the Imam al-Jama'ah? Is that some kind of punishment to him that he no longer can lead the prayers in Jama'ah? No. The situation now changed. The nature of of this individual's well-being has been changed. Now he needs to sit down and pray. And I can't follow him because he's sitting down and praying. So things are there, as a result. This is dunya of the causes and musabbabat and asbab and so forth. So you can't just consider things in your own notion, limited notion, and because things are depends on the evidence from the Holy Quran or from the Hadith, which we follow. So we can't just say let's have a woman to be the Imam Jama'ah. Let's pray behind a woman, for example. Let's have let's say a marja'a or alima to be a woman, for example, and we follow that woman. Or let's have this Ibn Zina, for example, our Imam Jama'ah, and so forth. There are hukum and rules which implemented in all aspects of life, in fiqh and jurisprudence. And even other countries, other religions, they have all their own rules and are respected. Nobody would say why such rule has been implemented in Christianity or Judaism. They have their own hukum rules, So, we have to go back always to the evidence. You have the evidence, you can offer it and discuss it, that's fine. You don't have, then you have to submit. Or at least, don't complain unless you have a firm ground of evidence.
Sheikh, the question coming in from one of I think it's YouTube, rights and duties of husband and wives, about second marriage and first wife's children oppressed by father and his second wife. What should women do if she... Okay, all right, so there's more than one question here. What is the second wife... What is the wife to do when her husband and her new... or the second wife are oppressing the children?
يعني oppressing is haram in overall. ظلم is haram. So they have to basically consult the elderly authorities or the elderly in the community initially, the mulana who is expert in this field, in social matters, and to try to resolve it.
What should a woman do if she caught her husband cheating on her?
Cheating in terms of what?
Cheating, I guess, having I mean, yeah, good question actually. Let's say it was a physical relationship and it wasn't a second marriage. Let's say it was haram, it was zina.
In overall, the Holy Quran states وَعَاشِرُهُنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ, and live with them with ma'roof, in goodness. Try to advise, try to guide her to the right acts and correct acts in which...
I think it was the husband that was cheating, not the
the vice versa. Vice versa.
That's it. Okay, is there any more? Hold on, Ahkam. What is the law for a secretly married man? Ahkam for... I don't know what this one is. Oh, this is a good one, Sheikh. Child abuse law in Islam. What does Islam say in regards to child abuse? Now, child abuse can be in any type. It could be a physical abuse, God forbid, sexual abuse. It could be mental torture. It could be even sending a child to work and to earn money and so forth, and not giving them an education and things like that. Where does Islam stand with such acts for children?
Of course, the child abuse is not permitted at all. What you mentioned, sexually, or as you mentioned just a minute ago, oppressing the children, that's not allowed at all. But in anyhow, they have to go to the Ahkam SOS if there's a dispute with this regard. Who gets the right to do such and such. So it depends really. You have to see what the matter is, and the Ahkam SOS, the marja, would decide.
Sure. Final question, Sheikh. I think it's from the Facebook. Can we recite Surah Yasin and give it as hadiyah to Imam al-Zaman al-Sharif, Bibi Fatima alayhi salam, assalamu alayha, and also at the same time hadiyah to all the deceased marhum family members?
Yes, indeed, you can do so. And they all, inshallah, get their rewards.
Inshallah. Thank you so much, Sheikh. Thank you to all of you for joining us on this episode of Ahkam SOS. Inshallah, we'll be back on Monday, where we'll have, inshallah, good news that England have won the Euros, inshallah. Good luck to the boys tonight as they play Denmark. Me and the Sheikh will be back on Monday, 6:30 here on Imam Hussein TV 3. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.
We question our daily position, seeking answers and definitions. Get the queries off your chest with Ahkam SOS.
Imam Hussein Media Group, out of respect to its audience, wants to be available anytime, anywhere. Our worldwide viewers, and in particular North America, can watch our channels through Roku TV setup box. To download our Roku app, follow these simple steps. Go onto the menu and select streaming channels, and then choose the category religious. Then you can find Imam Hussein TV from the list. Now choose add channel and then select OK. Done. Now you can find Imam Hussein TV in your home screen and watch all of our channels online.
when a person cries for Imam al-Hussein, this tear that comes out of the eye is an expression of the love and the mahabba and the mawadda for Imam al-Hussein, which is in the heart. Therefore, the tear is an expression of this firmly deep-rooted love that lies in the heart. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made the emotion of love so powerful in that if it is manifested through a tear, this tear has the potential to cause revolutions that will cause earthquakes and bring the thrones of the tyrants crashing down to ash and dust.